I will call the Finance Committee meeting to order on Thursday, February 12th at 7:02 p.m. This is a hybrid meeting. It is being recorded. I have with me in the room from the Finance Committee, Gar Morris, Steve Hodges, Steve Yolden, Maury Creighton, Peter Twining, and myself, Sarah Mellish. We have from the town, Andrea Mainville, the Finance Director, Tony Barletta, the town administrator, from DPW, Chuck.
Damn.
Yeah. And Nate DeRogers. From Select Board, I have Ann Harrison. We also have in the room from the town, Mark Resnick. And we have from the public, Jody Moss. I just wanted to start off with a few comments to kind of set the tone for tonight's meeting. I don't wish to entertain any derogatory comments about boards, volunteers, or town employees. And I also don't wish to entertain any discussion regarding the parameters of the culvert or the rotunda projects, because they've had a lot of public input, and the select board, which is the executive branch, has approved those projects in the form they're in. And I don't want us to discuss any re-engineering of DPW projects. If people have comments about that sort of thing, they should be addressed to the select board. Okay. With that, we will start with the operations budget for DPW.
So Sarah, I did put a couple of slides together. I don't know if you want to just go through budget operating and then, we could do slides or not, or if you prefer.
Are the slides regarding capital or operations?
They're just kind of a look back and a look forward. So it like encapsulates, usually when I come in, you guys want to know like, hey, how did that project last year that we approved money for go? And then, looking forward to what's in this year's capital. So it's only a dozen slides, we don't have to dwell on any of them really. I just wanted to show you guys the information, and then we can, the end of the slide is actually operating and then capital. So
Okay.
I think I need to request share.
See you on
Texas.
You should buy
It doesn't work, then we don't have to do it. True. Oh, yeah, I need to do it.
I thought we. Okay.
I think I might. There we go.
Oh, good. Great.
All right, so like I said, this is a little bit of a look back on things that were approved over the last few years, and then looking forward and what we have going on. Similar topics to what we've always had. We have the pipeline roadway work. We had a lot of that last year. PFAS, wastewater treatment, culvert. We do have a facility planning committee now, which ties into some of the previous appropriations and looking forward. And then, like I mentioned at the end, I had the operating and capital stuff. On the pipeline and roadway front, last year we completed Pleasant, Forest, Mill, Old Essex Road. We also did some small stretches of paving on Forest Lane, Colburn, Upper Pine, and we did do a pretty significant project on the Beach Street sidewalk. What we have in the pipeline planning right now is Atwater at Upper School. You remember that was part of the CST special permit, as well as other initiatives that the town has for bike lanes and whatnot.
Is that delayed because of the delay in the CST, or is that unrelated to the CST?
They actually wrote the checks, so we have the checks. It's just
Okay.
now I'm, coordinating with them, so we're not trying to occupy the same place at the same time. So that's why it's 26 or 27. We'll see, depending on what their schedule looks
Yeah.
like. Tappan and Bennett are the big pipeline work. Obviously, you guys know that Tappan is on this year's capital agenda. Bennett would be the following year, whenever appropriated. And then I've heard on previous meetings that I've been, keyed in on that, it's kind of like what's after that. So that in my mind, it's Summer Street, but we can talk about that. This is the map that I've shown you guys since I've been here. So we're, 8 years in roughly. The blue is the work that we've done for water main. The highlighted in yellow over there is the vintage of the pipe. So everything that red that you see is still pre-1900, even though the stuff under the blue was red previously. Again, we won't dwell on it. I do have going out 25 or so years to try and get as much of that red pipe as possible. This is the spreadsheet that Nate and I keep. It might be hard to see. I'll send you guys the slides after, but in general, what we're looking at is, over the past 8 or so years, we spent almost $12 million in, capital projects. That includes, some things that were grant funded, like the forestry CST project was MassWorks grant. We're roughly averaging about $400 a foot on pipeline rehabilitation and replacement costs. So I've just been kind of like, just for show and tell, apply that $400 a foot to the outstanding pipe. And you're looking at, we're still roughly 40 million out on that over whatever time.
Is that just for the pipe, or is that for the whole?
That's just pipe. So it's, it's not taking into account everything, but, and, like you've seen on Tappan and Bennett, like we're doing sewer and drain. So it, jacks the price up. It's not $400 a foot for all that.
What percentage is that of the pipe effort? I mean, is that like a third or something?
It's about 25%. Maybe we're getting up to around 30, but so there's about 70% of that stuff left. And then we also have a roadway maintenance plan that we do. So this is, the stuff in the square box there is the stuff that's considered major rehabilitation when we look at it from an engineering perspective. The ones that we've crossed off, that's us making it through the list. The ones in green, that's Tappan and Bennett. So those are obviously bad roadways as well as pipeline work. The one that's in orange there and down below, those are the ones that we did kind of partial just paving last year. That's Colburn, that's Forest Lane. We didn't do any pipeline work on there. We just kind of did an overlay to take the curse off it a bit.
So where is Summer on that list? Is it in the box or outside? I've heard I can't read it.
Actually, Summer is state maintained, so we actually don't have that in our pavement management plan. But the pipe lot, we own the pipe underneath. So that's going to be the trick on that one is we have to coordinate with DOT. We will be responsible for restoration of our trench or pits, whatever we end up doing there. But so it'll be up to the state whether or not they keep going.
That's something that's 4 years away, 5 years away.
I mean, yeah, if we do Tappan this year, Bennett next year, Summer Street's pretty long street, even if we're just doing the pipeline. So we might want to break that up over a few years. But it, it'll be subject to other appropriation and capital needs.
I think.
But it is easy to break that one up.
They paved Summer Street about 4 years ago, and they usually pave it every 10 to 15 years. So we might want to do it like a couple of years before their next paving.
It was a little bit earlier than that. It wasn't quite 4 years ago because I was here when they did it, and they did like a chip and seal on that one.
Right.
And so yeah, it will be something. The pipeline actually, believe it or not, is off the roadway in a lot of locations. So we might not need to, if we can do it with just doing access pits and doing a clean line job, we might not be in the roadway all that much anyway. So I think we would be fine with doing whatever restoration.
Independent, okay.
But I think no matter what, if we're doing Tappan now, Bennett the year after, and maybe we're a year or two after that before we get to Summer Street, we wouldn't be in their moratorium or anything like that. We'd just be responsible for some sort of rehab.
Now, on all these major rehabilitations, do you include the sidewalks?
Yeah. So, like this past year, we did Pleasant Street. We did do the sidewalk on that one. There's a small section of sidewalk on Forest Street. We did that. On Old Essex Road, we did do the sidewalk on Old Essex Road as well. So we are looking for that. We'll get to it later in the capital projects, but, you know, I foresee us, you know, whether or not we do tap in, assuming even if we do tap in, we would like to have some additional funding so that we could do some more small overlays or sidewalk restoration elsewhere in town. So it wouldn't just be like we're spending all of our money just on Tappan Street. There's other projects that we could probably get done.
So would you consider rolling the dice for another 15 years on Tappan? Because it needs to be resurfaced.
Let's not talk about TAP until we get to the capital projects, okay?
No, I thought we were just talking about it, but okay.
You know, I'll push through these and we'll get there, but.
Yeah,
I just had a quick question.
Yeah.
So looking at the numbers, looks like we got about another 30 years of pipe work if we're going at our current rate. How long does the pipe stuff last? Like,
Well, you know, so
are we gonna be redoing stuff? Well, that's what I'm hoping his answer is
So-
gonna be, but.
So believe it or not, that 70% of those, so that's all the stuff that's already 100 years old or more.
Right.
So, you know, in 30 years, all the stuff that's only 70 years old will now be 100 years old. So
Right.
like, you know, we're not gonna be done in 30 years necessarily. But, that being said, like, I do anticipate that we will get 50 years or more out of the pipeline that we have been doing. You know, we've been mostly focused on the unlined cast iron pipe that's 100 years old or more.
Right.
That's very thick, big cast iron, so that, you know, it's got less sacrificial sidewall depth on that. You know, when we get there, there's a lot of AC pipe in town that we'll replace somehow, some other way. And then, you know, so a lot of our project, like I said, some of it's replacement, but some of it's also rehabilitation. So I expect we'll get 50 years out of that pipe. You know, maybe the stuff that we're replacing, we should anticipate 100 years, but, you know, that's kind of general rule of thumb is you should be replacing 1% a year, and that puts you on a, you know, 100-year life cycle.
Okay, great.
Hey, John.
I had mine at my other meeting.
Why didn't you bring it? The other big project that you guys all know about that we've talked about for years is the PFAS project. Nothing has really changed in terms of the regulations or compliance dates at this point. We have been forging along with the design at the Lincoln Street well, which that's the one that's, you know, most out of compliance. You know, so I guess it's not officially out of compliance until 2029, but we will be at that point if we don't implement the treatment. We did do all the pilot and bench scale testing last year. We are planning to do, but actually we are out on the street for qual right now for Lincoln Street well. We anticipate getting the general bids back the week before town meeting. We did that on purpose, just in case something crazy happens, you know, hopefully good, but, you know, maybe, you know, in either direction. So obviously it's a big number that, you know, is gonna probably command a lot of attention. So we're trying to get as much information as we can ahead of town meeting. That being said, it's a very expensive project and prices have not tended to trend down since we've started this endeavor. You know, this is a look at the 90% OPCC. You know, right now we're looking at 16.5 million all in. About 12 of that is the construction, about 4 of that is procuring things in clever ways so we can try and save contractor markups, as well as other oversight during construction, and well as the integration of the controls and systems to make sure that the new plant talks to the existing plant and we can operate it remotely and all of these types of things. Wastewater plant, I assume we'll get back to PFAS at the end as well, so we can dwell on that later. You know, a couple of years ago, we did approve the $4 million upgrade. We have been working on the design for that. Also, you know, when we hired that consultant, they, you know, went through all of our old plans and, you know, toured the plant. They came up with $8 million worth of project. So we've been working a lot on how can we get the most for our money. So you'll see here we have plant water system, clarifier, mechanical stuff. That's the big ticket item. Pump and valve replacements, electrical replacements. Those are kind of like what the 4 million will get us. Then we are waiting to hear back on a GAP grant for about 400,000, which will help us with energy and process improvements in the aeration system. So that's, you know, that's like 10% of what the town approved. So we're kind of waiting on that one. We also, put in, we wanted to get some flood proofing, on that project as well. We're waiting to hear back. We did apply for a Eco Stop CZM grant on that one. We think we're in a good position to get that. We also included town hall and fire station for some of those same flood proofing improvements, which, flood stop barriers at the doors, low lying entry points. And then again, long term, we're probably looking at a much bigger wall or some sort of retreat from the existing location for the wastewater plant. But that's not part of our current scope. This is just so you believe me, this is the $8 million estimate they gave me for the initial review of the plant. Central Street culvert, again, just a quick update. We're awaiting the final permitting. We are awaiting funding confirmation. You all know about the BRIC grant. We have requested an extension. We were asked by MEMA to request the extension so we could keep the pressure on them to hopefully extend us. And then we did apply also, or we will next month, for an MVP grant. We hopefully will hear that July timeframe. But I think you've seen, we also anticipate a town article, so that will be kind of the backup for the backup on that one.
Where are we on the permitting? I know you're awaiting the final. Well, what are we, I feel like we've heard this.
So the hangup is the Chapter 91, which unfortunately have to go first, and then all the other permits are downstream of that. They won't approve, Army Corps and those types of things until we have the Chapter 91 in hand. So we did receive, what do you call it?
Decision.
Decision on the appeal of the Chapter 91 that was in favor of the town. There still is, as of yesterday, I think, a 7 business day appeal window for that decision.
I noticed that property's on the market.
We'll see where that ends up. But
Senior senator.
another thing that we did to try and put the pressure on all these agencies and the other stakeholders is we did bid a 30B procurement for the precast arches. And we actually did receive a very good number back in that open bidding. So we plan on executing that contract for the precast arches. So assuming that we get the permitting and everything, we'll have the arches basically in town waiting for our contractor to install. So it will streamline that process even more once we get there.
So you want
Covered under brick.
We haven't decided which pot of money to dip into for that. I think our intent would be to try, and then that would be another thing that BRIC would pay for. Even if it goes away, they paid for it, so we're good. If not, we do have backup, like I have below here. We have DOT funds. That was a grant several years ago. We have the NOAA fund, and we do have some town appropriation outside of this coming town meeting.
So you want to risk buying the arches before we have the permits? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
I don't think I'm risking it. I'm
Yeah.
buying them because we know we're going to do it eventually.
Right.
The permitting is not going to change the precast structure.
Is this out of a budget you're gonna request for this year's budget or from?
No, it's that the arches will be either paid for by BRIC before the BRIC expires.
Okay, so.
In which case,
BRIC is gonna, okay.
no big
So
deal.
it's not a risk of town funds?
No. Yeah, it'll be, no, obviously, we're looking to spend the grants before we spend town funds on all of our projects. So that's the intent.
Peter, did you have something?
No, I'm fine. I was just thinking about the permitting process, which I find slightly mystifying, but that's all right.
Run the club.
Welcome to DPW.
Yeah.
We can talk more about that.
Well, I know Chapter 90 precedes, that much I've learned over the years, but is that a 6, I mean, suppose you get 91, 6 months to get everything else? I'm trying to think of time frames. That's what
The next one will be Army Corps. We have a meeting with them next week. So I think, they all know they're coming, whether it's Army Corps or water quality or.
Yeah.
But is that a 6 month
Yeah.
period? Is that a year period?
No.
It should be much, hopefully a few months.
They're
but-
already submitted. They just can't approve or condition until Chapter 91 comes in.
Like, they've done all their reviews. It's like literally just waiting for that Chapter 91 license to come through so they can put their stamp on their permit.
Okay, but I was just thinking, at one point, this project was, I think, critical get done.
Yeah.
And I was wondering, how much longer before it.
Well, yeah,
Can
let's
manifest.
discuss that when we discuss the capital.
That
Okay?
Yeah.
Timing of the projects and everything,
Exactly.
we'll discuss with capital.
Okay.
Yeah, it remains critical. It's just a matter of, that construction window and having funding and permitting at a certain point ahead of that. We'll talk more about it when we come back.
Please, I'd like that.
Facility planning, so as I said, we do have a facility planning committee now, we've been meeting pretty regularly, we've done some tours, they did have input on the Lincoln Street well project. We've been evaluating the School Street site where the black earth compost used to be. You remember in FY 25, we did have a pretty substantial appropriation for geotech survey and preliminary DPW layout when it was envisioned as just a DPW site, so that is done. So we spent that money and it, we have done that work and it all,
And
will
what
carry
was the
forward.
conclusion? What was the?
So the geotech was good, we know now what's below the ground surface, but also we did geothermal evaluation, so that was fine. We have that information now for the next consultant or designer that, we choose. The survey needed to be done no matter what. So we've done all that. They did wetland flagging, all those sorts of things. We did do preliminary layout, like I said. We knew we could fit a DPW up there, but we now kind of programmed it a little bit.
Yep.
The next phase that we're in with the planning committee, as well as just, we do have an appropriation for FY 26 in this current year that we haven't spent any of yet. But that would be for, now we're looking at, can we make it some sort of a municipal campus, whether it be DPW, police and fire, or some combination, 2 out of 3. So that's, ongoing. We haven't made any decisions. There'll be lots more public input. I'm sure we'll be back before you guys to talk about it, but that's what's ongoing. And then the hope is that we'll use the current FY 26 appropriation to go to an RFQ for an OPM to help facilitate that, not only decision, but kind of get into the real design and
What's an OPM?
owner's project manager. Right, so
Andrea, what are the consequences if we don't move forward with that component?
with the,
OPM?
Required by
Required,
master
yeah.
law.
What?
it's required,
Required by.
No,
Oh.
I'm just saying, if it were deferred,
right?
what happens to that money that we appropriated? I don't know what we appropriated, whether it was cash or.
It depends on whether we wanna keep it, keep it going, or,
Was it cash or was it borrowed?
it was the.
no, it's cash.
It was the exclude fund. Oh, no, I
Yeah.
changed that. didn't I?
What was it?
Yeah.
Never mind, I let Adrian.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm not gonna believe it was borrowing, it was from cash, whether it was taxation or a capital exclusion, it
Yeah,
was not borrowing
at
authorization.
one point it was the capital decision, but I think they changed it because it went better to the school side of things.
Yes, yeah, we changed it to Essex Elementary.
So it could go back to free cash. Okay, just checking.
Right.
Was the geothermal did that check for radon? Or is that for energy source?
I'd have to look
For energy.
for
Okay.
it's for ground source heating. Cool.
Interesting. We do that.
And then under other, I didn't really put any, but we can talk about during capital, but we do have other projects that we're helping oversee, whether it's the Sweeney Field, the Rotunda Harbor projects, dredging, any of those. If you want to talk about those, we can get into those during capital. That leads us into kind of, I just basically took a screenshot of the report that Andrew had sent out earlier. Gets into the DPW operating from the general fund. I think I was asked about, kind of what are we worried about for FY 27? And I think you guys have talked about it before, but it's definitely the trash hauling curbside program, because we are at the end of that contract, and we will be, in for some market adjustments, to say the least, on that one. Everything else remains.
What's the
fairly flat.
DPW highway reduction in skilled labor?
Mm-hmm.
So we actually had a retirement, and this goes back several years ago. We had, and this happened in water as well as highway. We had kind of upcoming retirements that we were planning ahead on. So we hired the, the lower entry level and then didn't backfill the upper entry level, or not upper entry, but the upper retirement. And so that's the difference basically is last year our operator retired. And we had already hired in the previous fiscal budget, kind of replacement. So our numbers, even though they might go up or down basically one FTE a year, are kind of the same over, the entire tenure I've been here.
And there's a reduction in the working out of classification.
So that's all contract related, and we are in the midst of contract negotiation, but that's generally, in the last contract, we did change when somebody's working out of class there, it's because somebody else is like on vacation or something like that, and so they move up into that role. So that's the assistant foreman now is paid at that, at a higher rate, so there wasn't out of class.
Given that it's a reduction, is there a reduction in classifications contemplated?
No, it's just, it's covered in their base salary, not in working out.
Oh, it's in the base salary.
Where do we stand on that contract?
Ongoing.
Have any sense of how long ongoing is?
Well,
You aiming
we've
for-
received proposals from all three. We've had some discussion with those on the non-financial changes. And we've basically been on hold on the financial impact stuff because of health insurance. Actually, today, the GIC was supposed to be voting on their plan structures. And our health insurance plan is actually is benchmarked to GIC. So Maya said after today, they'll be able to give us more details about possible plan structures and cost impacts of those structures. So we've been waiting until today, really. Hopefully we get that information in the next couple weeks, and then we can really start to look at the financial side of the negotiation.
So I have reached out, we have been trying to get the existing Colorado Republic to give us not only a contract, but even a budgetary number, because
Sanitation. Sorry. Eddie, does anybody have any more questions on DPW highway?
I have a question, and it may be more for Andrea. I'm going back to your question, Sarah, about the skilled labor. And it looks like one budget year, we're 225,000. Next year, we're about 170. Then we're back up again the next year to 240. What are the actuals looking like on this? And is unspent fund basically just going to free cash? Okay.
It is, yes.
And didn't he say it was because he was pre-hiring for retirements? So we doubled up people in some of those
Yeah.
years?
so that's why it goes up and down basically by one full-time equivalent.
So
In
do
the
you,
highway, we had 2 retirements.
so do you sort of anticipate this going forward as a technique?
As long as we can see it coming, like we do have still a few guys that, are going to retire in the next 5
Okay.
years, but, unless they both decide to retire at the same
Right.
year, I can't tell.
So Maury, I always shoot for 8%, but wind up with 10. It's in the.
I'm always asking about rainwater rolling downhill to.
Yeah.
The training curve to bring some, you're pre-hiring for retirements because you want to train people in advance. What type of timeline is attached to that?
Well, most of on the highway side, it's all kind of like on the job training, like
Yeah.
in town.
And how
So
long
it's-
does it take? Elapsed time, I'm saying.
Yeah, we have kind of cyclical duties, so I'd say,
Okay.
summer's different than winter is different than
Yep.
spring.
Okay.
Fall's different. But, I think the bigger one is on the enterprise side. Water and sewer both have to have licenses, and you can't get people with licenses.
Yeah.
So we have to hire somebody and then get them the licenses. So that's the one that will take a full year.
Okay.
And the reduction in electricity is the reserve, a function of the reserve is set up.
I had a question.
Go ahead, Dean.
The professional services, what is the specific skill we're looking, or is that just a plug number?
Well, I mean, I'm not sure what you mean. We have several different things that come up over the course of the year that we might hire out. Especially for the highway side of things, it's actually sometimes professional services isn't like hiring a consultant, it's hiring police details for, different work that we are doing in the roadway that we don't want to, we still get billed for police details. That's not coming out of Todd's budget,
So that's a catch-all number.
stuff like that.
So like when,
We don't want to call it catch-all.
well, I mean, it's for a number of things, but like, so when. On 2025, when we budgeted 50 and we spent 72, was that like reconciled at the end of the year, or how did we over?
Well, I probably would have underrun some other line on that
And, okay,
level. So like, if we are, just for an example, if it's vehicle equipment and repairs, if we don't have 70 grand worth of repairs, and we only have 50. But I'm over 20 on professional services, then, it all comes out in the
If you
line.
look at
It also looked like they saved on overtime. The overtime was about 9,000 less than was budgeted. I mean, if you look at the actual for 25 versus the budgeted, the overall actual was less.
right, and it's all, we only vote for the bottom line, so, yeah, okay. And
I track pretty closely the, stuff like overtime and, where we're trending on certain things and, this time of year, it's, we get done what we need to get done, but come spring, if I need to put the brakes on certain things that we were otherwise gonna do, that's not gonna impact services, then we'll do it.
What is standby?
just not
As
the
a category?
cemeteries.
So somebody will carry a take-home phone, and so if,
Standby,
somebody hits a deer and we have to respond and,
Yes.
get it out of the way, then they get a 4-hour callback.
Any other questions on DPW?
not here.
Can I just add the question
Oh,
for
go
Andrea?
ahead.
We don't see the actuals in the salary. Are the
Right.
actuals the same as the budgeted?
Right, so I like on my ledger, I just track salaries and I do have a separate line for overtime. But we don't have separate like account numbers in my world for like the standby out of class and things like that.
So we can assume that the actual was the same as the budgeted for these prior
Right,
years.
like if you look at the actual total on the line, I did put the total, so for like FY 25. Budgeted is 1,073,000, but actual was 1,059,000.
Okay.
So I don't have it like specifically broke up for each line, but you can see what the difference is there.
Anything else, Doc? Do I have a motion to approve the DPW highway budget in the amount of 1,551,377?
So moved.
Second,
Second.
any more discussion?
But the,
Oh, sorry, that's the wrong number.
1548377, right?
Motion to approve the DPW budget in the amount of 1,548,377.
Yeah, exactly.
Withdrawing the prior motion.
Second.
Any more discussion? Vote, Gar,
Yes.
Dean,
Yes.
Andy,
Yes.
Lori,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
and Sarah votes yes. That's why we have to do the individual. Next is snow removal.
Hot topic right now.
I
guess how much that first one cost.
oh, great question.
76.
I'm hoping that maybe we'll have money left in the FinCom reserve at the end of this year to be able to allocate some to snow removal. But the excess is rolled over to next year.
Right.
And we expect next year to have a little more money than this year, though I think I've spent that little more money about 10 times.
So should we recommend a little bit more? for
No,
that?
I think we want to stay the course of doing with our average. I think that
Okay.
next year we'll have to increase it because the average will go up.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, yeah.
and to what Chuck was just speaking about, you know, as far as things that he might have planned for the spring, that he might pump the brakes on. What we start doing this time of year is looking at those projected end of year totals on the expense side. And maybe there's accounts like the reserve fund that, or, you know, that we expect to have funds in it. So we'll start to kind of see if we're gonna have enough to shift at the end of the year to cover the over expenses in something like snow removal. And if not, you know, we'll talk to Chuck and other departments about needing to maybe pause on some projects that they were hoping to do in the spring to try to make sure we end the year at balance. So we do that process over the next couple months.
So I have a motion to approve the,
I have a question on snow, where is snow removal?
Yes.
Yeah. I can only guess that the equipment takes a hell of a beating with snow. Strikes me that $10,000 in that category must be on the light side, no? I mean,
True. Very, very much true, especially this year.
maybe there's a strategy here I'm not aware of, but it just strikes me that,
Well, like I said, we do have in the operating budget, we do have vehicle repair and
I'm
maintenance.
sure you do.
And so, you know, like I said, it's a.
But given the
it'll be a balance.
flexibility of this account and the way it's handled, I didn't know whether that should be a more real figure. I mean,
well, I think that our theory behind the snow removal account was to base it on the prior, what is it, 5-year
years.
average.
right,
Because it's the only budget we're allowed to exceed at the end of the year. And we went through many years where we were over budgeting. So we don't see this as realistic for any given year. Some years it will run high and some years it will run low. And this year, 26 is running very low.
well, it was the flexibility that I was focusing on and the fact that I could only guess that vehicles, 10,000 is low.
I mean, that first storm, we lost 3, you know, both sidewalk tractors at the lake plow. So that was big deal.
I saw some
Big
pickup
deal.
truck being picked up at the gas station by
Oh,
Displays recently.
Fine.
Seems like all the post office trucks are on trailers.
It's not, I mean, if you look at 2 of the past 3 years, I mean, that's not the 3-year average, that
It's
10,000.
a 5-year average, which is 135,478.
I was looking at just the
145.
equipment repairs, like individual.
Oh,
Yeah, so
the
it's
total
overall.
budget, yeah.
I mean, I think our strategy go forward has always been, we average over 5 years. Andrea tells us what the state allows. And then we set the number right around there. And then if we go high, we make it up. So that way we're not just over budgeting.
Yeah.
That's gotta be done.
Years when we were over budgeting
Right,
consistently,
Yeah.
yeah, and the
Okay,
Department
well,
of Revenue is like very on top of this particular budget, like I have to submit a separate report for the snow and ice. Cause they wanna make sure that like you're not overtaxing taxpayers either, you know, too, so it can be hard to bump this up. So if we have, unless we
The
keep getting
state
these,
guidelines make it hard to do that.
right,
I was just thinking that because of the flexibility in this account, I would thought it'd be more real. That would mean a substantial increase, you're right. And I don't want to over budget, but at the same time, it's deeply under budgeted, so,
just for this year, not
Right.
necessarily every year. And I think
well, because the
that's,
amount of snow varies a great deal.
because I think the amount of hired equipment varies based on how
I see.
large the storms are. So if they
Okay,
have less hired equipment, they'll more for maintenance.
good luck.
Any more discussion on this budget? Do I have a motion to approve the snow removal budget in the amount of 145,000?
So moved.
Ron moves, do I have a second?
Second.
Dean seconds. Any more discussion? Take a vote, Clyde,
Yes.
Dean,
Yes.
Andy,
Yes.
Lori,
Yes.
Peter,
No,
and Sarah votes yes. Street lighting.
Yeah, so we continue on doing replacements of existing heads and poles throughout tracking down repairs. I think that's the big thing we've seen over the last couple of years is a lot of our lights are direct burial cable, so it's just a wire in the ground. When that breaks, it's very hard to locate and repair. Many times it requires us to basically install a conduit and then pull new wire. So, you know, some of the streetlights that are currently out are bigger repairs and like on bridge require DOT access as well. So the plan has really been, we've been doing a spring and fall kind of bulk order of replacement poles and heads, and then, you know, going out and installing and replacing as we have, you know, to maximize budget.
So are we spending more than we did in National Grid on the lights?
Yeah, just because I think
So
we
the big
inherited.
savings didn't come to fruition.
Only on electricity.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, on electricity, we just, because we bought the system, we bought an old system that is now needing to be replaced, fortunately.
And what percentage are we now accomplished in replacing the old system?
I don't have that number, but so it's mostly on the post tops, which we have about 100 in town. We've probably done 25% of those to date.
Can we have some input on the types of light poles? Because the ones that you have with the new LEDs, the glare is like, I don't know if it's my eyes getting older, but they seem like they're offensive. I know people like light.
They're
The heads, but the old style poles that we used to have, there's a couple over the park, they just point down and they spotlight. Okay, well, I don't know if there's consideration before you order a bunch of them, that if anyone wants to.
Right outside my bedroom. That doesn't bother me at all.
Well, I'm fine with you.
Granted. And maybe I'm up higher than the head.
I know you can dim them if you want, right? You can request to have them dim.
Yeah, correct.
Right.
Yeah.
But I was just wondering the whole design with the outdoor light pollution thing and everything.
That's another meeting, Dean.
Yeah.
No. But to speak to that, we have selected, you know, when we did the replacements and what the lights that we do select, we do select a warm color
Right.
that minimizes that really obtrusive, like
White,
bright
right.
white. The LED does tend to skew that, you know, so it is, so we have selected the lowest, the warmest color that we can.
Yeah.
So for fixing these, have you guys been mostly doing this yourselves and calling in an electrician and doing conduit?
Yeah.
I guess my question is, other communities must be wrestling with this. Is there somebody, you know, replacelightpoles.com that can come in and just like take this off your plate and get it done?
I mean, we have worked with the other municipal light towns and have had them come in and do some work. You know, some we handle ourselves if we can do the excavation,
Mhm.
do the light base, and then we'll have our electrician come in and wire it. It's kind of a mixed bag depending on locations and, you know, bandwidth for our guys. If we have, you know, the availability, that's the preference because it doesn't cost us.
Right.
So,
It also depends on the lights that you're dealing with, and as you mentioned.
right.
The underground direct bury compared to, you know, just a head that's on a telephone pole that's owned by the utility company, that's easy to replace that head.
Right.
But when you own the entire pole head and the underground, you know, wire, and there's a lot of coordination that has to happen with National Grid there that really slows us down,
Mhm.
that we're not allowed to touch without them being a part of that process. So, and it's not very high on their list either, so.
They've already made their money on us.
Yeah.
And is this totally a replacement focus as opposed to an expansion? Are we adding any lights?
We typically don't have an added lights. Yeah, so it's just,
Just replacement,
Yeah, just
modernization?
Yeah.
Is that a need of ours to consider?
occasionally I get requests.
'Cause I've
It's
heard a
not
few of
very
those
frequent.
requests. I don't know how, I mean, is that part of the focus? as we-
I mean, it has, just because like, once you start to get into the cost of, that conduit to extend them, especially if there's not any adjacent, like, they're adjacent, then it's probably not a request. It's usually on a, I've had requests for Colburn Road,
Mhm.
that would be a very expensive endeavor to run.
Yeah,
lights
so we
down
try
there.
and like,
So it's like a balancing.
if like, for example, Tappan, Bennett, like at that point, when we're redoing the full depth roadway reconstruction and all utilities, like we may elect to add one or two.
Okay.
But it'll be.
Within the
it'll be a
existing
$4
system.
million project. We're not going out to Colburn and just saying, here's a couple lights, like that's just. So we do kind of set expectations when we get those calls, but sometimes we get those calls.
We might want a policy on like whether we have it at a crosswalk or street corner, is required, but other than that, it's kind of optional after that, but. Anyway. There might be some,
It's also hard to justify expanding or adding when we've had a backlog of repair.
right,
And discussion on street lighting. Do I have a motion to approve the street lighting budget in the amount of 55,000?
You do. And so moved.
Do I have a second?
second.
15 seconds. Any more discussion? Oh, Carl,
Yes.
Dean,
Yes.
Andy,
Yes.
Warren,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
that's yes. Whoops, I went backwards. Sanitation. Meeting
So
now.
this is the big wild card until tomorrow. I'll get a budget number. They said by the end of the month, we'll have a proposal. That's from our existing vendor, Republic.
Yeah.
We're all near and dear to our heart after the strike this summer. But they did take over the contract from JRM. JRM 5 years ago, when we bid the project, was the low bidder. But JRM kept their pricing flat for the entire 5 years, and Republic honored that. So I'm sure they're gonna be looking to not only increase over our current year, but also, get back those 5 years of escalation.
And is the automated collection system reflected in any way in these numbers?
So if we go with Republic, they're gonna require that we go to automate. They'll give us 1 year to get there, so we don't have to do it on July 1, but it will be what we do.
So it's a next year item.
But that's not, atypical, like that's the industry is going that way.
Okay.
Um,
Can you give me some sense of what that magnitude of that replacement number would be?
for the barrels.
Yeah, yes, I think that's what you're saying here.
Yeah, I think it'll be in the ballpark of $100,000,
Ah.
for purchasing them outright. There are grants and stuff that are available, and we do have RDP money, so that's money that we get from DEP based on how good we recycle,
Oh, I see.
in the course of the year. So we have some, different funding that will offset, but it'll be buried in the cost of the.
No, I understand that. I was just looking for what that additional amount,
Right,
that's kind of the magnitude you're thinking about.
yeah, that's to purchase the stuff. We're looking at escalation just for,
Oh, no, I I got it. There's a difference here, but
How
a
many
year.
How many residences do we collect from?
so the curbside program is townwide, and that's about,
2,000?
2,000. That's a number I keep in my back pocket. It's probably more like 2,200 or something like that.
So for $100,000, it would be about $50 per residence, is that?
That's cheap.
That is cheap. Boy, it's surprising.
Your arithmetic is
One for one.
That's probably,
That would-
Recycling bin.
Yeah, I
that's
mean,
probably just, that's probably
that might be
just
just
one of the
Yeah.
barrels, but we're talking, it would be recycling and trash. So
So 2 barrels.
probably be both, yep,
Right.
but hopefully, depending on the type of barrels you go with, you could have them fully funded by grants.
Oh,
You could also finance them through your contract with your hauler. So there's different ways to do it. It's extremely, there's a lot to that discussion, and we haven't gotten into it yet. I did do it in my last town on the trash, on the recycling side, so familiar with it. Hopefully, we get this 1 year next year the time to really look at what our options are.
And the other is the eccentricities of our streetscape and whether or not an automated
Truckicity.
can get to all of these places.
Yeah,
and so forth. I mean,
So Republic or whoever we end up contracting with, will do that analysis and they'll either have automated trucks available for our schedule, or they will go out and purchase trucks that make sense for their schedule. We had some narrow streets in Nahat and they actually brought in a smaller, like a mini dump truck, trash truck that
Okay.
had the automated collection hand on it.
So they'll own it.
Or they'll adjust their contract for the number of households that they need two guys to collect on.
Just dump the barrels.
Yeah.
Okay.
So have you requested bids from many other entities?
Not yet.
You're waiting to see what Republic gives you?
Are we still looking at 2-day collection if it goes automated?
I believe so. That's the instructions I gave them, so that they know that, but
I've been behind pickup on my commute to Cambridge. And the ones that are automated go much more quickly.
so yeah, potentially they have to do that analysis. I could dictate to them.
And is it recycling also that it goes automated?
Yeah, they want both.
Yeah.
They don't want a second person on the truck.
Makes sense.
So Chuck, this budget and its new numbers reflects a system the way we now have.
It's just.
So actually,
Well, we make this possibly years transition.
so I didn't just make this number up. I did look at, we have from DEP a list of haulers from, basically all over the state. So I basically took those numbers and looked for communities similar to ours, size and, number of households, and basically tried to make a best guess.
But it's still a 2-day collection. It's still,
So like the closest one to us is Topsfield, they're 3-day, but so I kind of did the math and.
and there's still bags and buy bags and
No.
all of that.
No bags.
But that's in the year's transition, I'm asking.
Oh.
But this is a budget for the year's transition.
Yeah.
So it's not a change in the system. That's all I'm trying to ask.
It
Right.
doesn't go automated as of July 1.
Right, it won't go automated July 1.
We still continue to do what we do
I
today.
mean, we could elect to do that. Like, I think
No.
if they're giving us a year to
Yes,
get there, that first year is gonna be more expensive based on the fact that we're not doing on it. Because they have 2 people on the truck.
yes,
They're.
yes.
So if we could commit to saying we will do it July 1, we might get a slightly better price.
No, it's not the question. The 2 people on the truck. Price.
This is, I
My
think
best guess based on separate community analysis.
we're gonna have to put a hold on this budget, because this isn't a true budget number.
Right.
Okay, well, I'm happy to have it held. I was just trying to get an idea in that year, you have today's system, but so today's number.
This is just looking at other community contracts and trying to apply that percentage comparison to our most recent contract year. So this doesn't factor in change in plan, structure.
That's all I'm asking.
Yeah.
This is not a change in structure plan.
No, this is a best guess.
Yep.
But hopefully we have a closer number from Republic this week, tomorrow.
Well, I'm picking up on the trend, like between 24 and 25. If the rates were the same, then the tonnage must have gone down quite a bit. Is that a trend that you're seeing continue, or?
I think this might be the dumpster.
Yeah, that's the stuff they didn't collect.
That's the stuff they didn't collect 1 year.
So, okay,
There's kind of a placeholder within the budget for.
Gotcha.
Dumpster.
so that, okay. So it's really
I
gonna
mean,
be
they
hard.
collected it, they didn't charge us.
Right, okay.
Got a question.
Changing vendor.
Go ahead, John.
Is the first year gonna be more expensive because you got the barrels in there? But starting the second year, you don't have the barrels.
So like all this is yet to be determined because
Right.
we could elect, I mean, they're gonna give us a whole bunch of different models. And so one could be that it's straight, just 2 guys on the truck for the first year. But by July 1 of the following year, we're 100% automated. It's more likely that it'll be, you know, over a series of months that we'll get there. So we'll have different pricing basically per month that we're on the automated than as we transition to the auto.
And I think what people have to remember is we're gonna lose over 300,000 in revenue from the sale of the orange bags.
So I would say
So
that
it's
that
not
is
just the
still
cost of.
yet
the-
to be determined as well. It's like, you know, how do we?
How
adjust
to
for
replace
that?
that?
Yeah,
So like there's gonna be several different elements of this number that need to be accounted for based on the proposals that we get from Republic Youth. And so that's all that has to be taken into account.
I just don't know whether they
It's 30,000,
spread the cost of
it's not-
barrels over the life of the contract.
No, so we definitely could. They will do that 100%.
Whatever,
Or we can say, you know what, we have enough grant funding, or we can get our own grant. So we're not gonna, you know, pay Republic for that privilege of them selling us barrels. We'll just get the grant and go that direction. So it's completely separate.
and
Is this subject to open bidding or is?
It doesn't, it's not required, you're not required to bid, collection for trash.
A lot of towns still do it themselves. DPW.
We talked a little bit about this when we had our joint meeting with the select board. We'll talk a lot more about it in the upcoming year. There could be a fee element in this new structure. A lot of those details are
yeah.
to be figured
I
out.
saw that in Chuck's memo and, you know, my opinion is we should not charge a fee and nickel and dime people, particularly because real estate taxes are deductible at the federal levels and fees are not. So it would cost people a lot more to pay a fee to cover the same cost than it would cost them to pay in real estate taxes if they get a federal deduction.
Right, so they're not getting a deduction on what they pay for bags today.
Yeah, but bags, you're only paying for the amount of trash you have, whereas under the new system, everyone's gonna be paying the same amount.
Well,
And
this-
so if I have trash once a month, that's not gonna be reflected in the new system.
so again, before you
What
make,
I'm saying.
before we get it too far ahead.
Yeah.
We still have the transfer station, so there still may be a need for bags. You may get your trash barrel and recycling barrel for free through, you know, we get it through the grant or something like that. And then if you wanted a second barrel, you might have to pay a fee for that. So there's a lot of different ways to structure it. And it's gonna be a long discussion when we get there.
I think the sustainability committee has a lot to put into it too. They have a lot of input about discouraging.
And then the other, the other cost saving, so you have cost savings with less labor by doing automated collection, but the other cost savings on the tonnage side. So especially where sustainability committee comes in is finding ways to really push composting, because that's the heaviest material in the waste stream. So if we can shift to a free service that we get as residents here, and push composting, it'll also reduce our total cost at the end of the year.
I'd like to make it totally free and just have the residents bring the compost to the site instead of having them collect it.
Well,
It seems
Again-
costly for the
again,
amount
A
that they're
lot of
doing.
details to be discussed over the next year.
so I'm suggesting that we not vote on this part of the budget since we don't have a solid number for the collection and disposal. Do people agree with that?
So,
very much so.
And we should have it shortly.
Yeah, shortly,
Have
which would
something.
be a couple of weeks or.
Yeah, I think
They
there's,
committed to a budget number by tomorrow and a proposal by the end of the month.
yeah, so we should.
Good.
We're, gonna do catch up on budgets like on March 5th.
25% seems like a good placeholder. Now,
Facilities.
So I think the big one is moving library into our, under DPW. I'd say the big thing we did last year was, we've been having a hard time controlling HVAC preventative maintenance costs, through firms. So we went out and hired an HVAC tech to be part-time on call for the town. So he's been able to take over all of the servicing preventative maintenance tasks for all of our buildings, which has been a huge savings, comparatively, to what we were seeing prior. And he's also been able to do, some installs on new systems, the heat pump system at Seaside One. We've also done one at, the wastewater treatment plant. We have one planned for the fire department, for the new bunk rooms. And then when we do the ADA bathroom at the library, and we have to, relocate Cynthia, office upstairs, we're gonna have to renew that system as well. So he'll be, doing all of that work. So it's been a huge, I think, plus for our
I would say
budgets on that side.
It might be single-handedly the biggest thing we've done since we've had facility. Like, this is not a joke. Like, we have done more work and gotten more done by doing this approach than I could have ever imagined, and that we wouldn't have been able to do by going out to bid and, doing mass general bidding and procurement laws. So
this is an in-house person?
In-house, yeah.
who's part-time, who has a full-time job, who just is doing it as a side hustle and is great. Very responsive, very professional, very good.
So why are the facility salaries increasing so much?
Well, that's his
Because of
salary.
that.
Yeah,
Because of that.
because of that.
It was
So we
never-
didn't have that
never-
budgeted in last year's budget. So what we've been doing to bridge the year is we've been tracking his time. And like Nate said, we've been doing work at the wastewater plant, we've been doing work at the fire station. So we've been basically planning a transfer within the lines on those various items. But next year, we would hope to have it be in the facility budget.
What's the status of the town hall generator? It seems to me that was approved a long time ago, and then I saw that town hall had to close when they lost electricity, so that said to me, oh, I guess we don't have a new generator yet.
Generator actually works.
The generator is just undersized. When we really got into everything that would, be required to fully, have this building on and elevate it to above the floodplain, like we did at the fire department, the budget wasn't there. So that's where we've looked into utilizing the wastewater treatment plant generator and basically doing that as a campus generator. And trying to tie in this building off of that one.
Does it have the capacity? I mean.
Yeah, the wastewater treatment plant one does, yeah.
That's what I suggested with the library one too.
Yeah, and so that was something we analyzed, and the cost benefit, so it was actually more in materials to do the ductwork and the conduit up to the library than it was for the actual cost of the library generator. Because we had
This
bid
one's
this had it.
different.
Yeah, this one's just, we had to go to 150 kW generator. I think we have like a 40 out there right now. And that's just to support because we have the full electric, the heat pumps.
System, yeah.
It has to be so oversized to meet peak demand. And then it was the platform that we were gonna put it on to raise it 5 feet,
But
It was-
for power outage, don't you wanna just have certain essential facilities powered? I mean, you don't have to have the whole building going.
Well,
So, I mean-
if you want employees to work.
Well, I mean,
We
most
That's what
most highway
that was the
systems have
intent.
a 24 hour that you need and
we paid employees for 24 hours when they weren't working.
Plus it's the police station. So,
Right.
That's the bigger.
yeah, that is a big problem.
So what's the status of the money we previously appropriated? It's so long ago, I can't even remember.
Yeah.
It's probably 2 years, but who knows?
Nate, what fuel does it operate on? The town hall?
Diesel,
Oh, interesting.
As is the it's typical.
yeah.
Their diesel.
Gas is
Is
the way
that
to go.
natural gas? Huh.
Yeah, well, natural gas is considered,
Natural gas, is what we did at the fire station and what?
Yeah.
It was library propane.
And how many days could it run? How much diesel would it do?
This one, I believe we get 72 hours. If it's in the summer, it can go longer. If it's winter, not quite as long, but
And over at the,
wastewater plant,
yes,
I don't know that one off the top of my head, but that's a big tank.
I would think it had to be above ground too, right?
Hmm.
Is it below ground or above ground?
The tank is like integrated into the enclosure that you see.
Wow, I would think it would.
It's belly- it's belly.
It's a belly tank.
Wow.
Did you find anything on there?
Yes, we have 79,000 outstanding right now.
That's in Dublin file.
That's unspent.
And when was that appropriated?
100,000 was appropriated in FY '23.
I thought it was a long time ago.
So we spent $60,000 on a generator that's a little not as big as we'd like it to be. Is that right?
What do you mean?
No,
Maybe I'm.
No, we haven't.
we've only
we
spent
We haven't
about
replaced
20,000.
it.
Oh, we haven't replaced it. Okay,
We're looking at it, they're looking at it.
Spent 21 on design and
okay.
whatnot.
Thank you.
Permitting.
Permitting.
Study.
Is it big enough to pick up the senior center?
The wastewater treatment plant, yeah, we also looked
So
at
that was part of
that.
it.
Yeah,
Okay, just wanted,
And that one does need to be replaced too, so we're keeping that in
Yeah.
mind.
The wastewater's so the existing generator has a capacity to do these other things.
yeah.
So the existing size, and that's kind of a function of the fact that the stuff at the treatment plant's been so oversized. And
Oh.
part of our project is actually right sizing that stuff
Got it.
and making it more efficient. So like there's several levers that we pulled at the wastewater plant so that the existing one is kind of that much bigger than it needs to be.
Got it.
But by being that much bigger than it needs to be, it can also serve senior center and town hall.
great.
And is there a timeline attached to that?
We want to pay for it. Well, it's funding.
10,000
Well, we already paid.
That's a big one. It's gonna be $750,000 probably.
to
Right?
connect it?
No, well,
I'm talking
Yeah,
connected.
to connect it in, I think we're potentially looking at this spring. We can do the,
Okay,
basically
but I was
use
talking about the
our,
replacement of the wastewater one.
Can we
The
make-
wastewater one, we can do that work, but it still needs to be replaced sooner rather than later.
We have the 3.5 million process water. Can we make it part of that? And just
We already heard that they don't have
It's
as
not,
much as they.
not gonna cover it.
So,
for the process water.
yes.
It's more than just process water. It's like.
Well, that was the main thing that we're trying to fix because of the leak.
We have $8
That's
million.
what justified it was more important to fix that than the meters.
Please stop talking. That's just not. That's just.
So just to understand this, we have this generator sitting down here that's too small. Is the plan to basically abandon that, wire into the sewage treatment? And when do we really hope to get this done? I mean, I'm concerned when you've got a building full of employees trying to work and it's dark. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense, particularly if we have money in hand for 4 years, 5 years plus. So
So I think that's what we're saying is that we can tie it in.
he said 23, which tells me 22. 2022 and we're 2026. I think that's 4. Sorry.
Right.
Just backing you up.
So we
But-
think we can tie it in.
Yeah.
This spring or sooner
Okay.
rather than later. But the stuff we've done in the interim is we looked at it for library, fire. town
Senior
hall,
center.
Senior center. So
Right.
there's been things that we've done. It's just, this is where we are.
like, we went out and got a grant when we were looking at raising it, so like. Just kind of things that have just delayed it as we got into it more, like to do all the transfer switches and everything we needed internally. There wasn't enough wall space within the existing equipment room. So it was like one of those things, once we opened the can of worms, it just like, it exploded. It's just. Everything that we,
No, we've increased the electrical capacity of this building
Yeah.
significantly, and that's, you know,
right.
yeah,
it occurs to me that when the generator is most likely needed and you have a power outage, the police are gonna be pretty active and the need for electricity is high.
right. And so the existing that's what it serves, them and emergency lighting throughout the rest of the building.
And town hall is kind of the only work center 24 hours a day if you need
Yep.
it, if the town needs it. Okay, any more discussion on facilities? Do I have a motion to approve the facilities budget in the amount of $194,654?
So moved.
Second.
Lori moves, Guy seconds. Any more discussion? Vote, Guy,
Yes.
Dean,
Yes.
Randy,
Yes,
Warren,
Yes.
Peter,
Okay, yes.
Sarah votes yes. That's it for DPW, correct?
What's wrong with water and sewer?
Operating
Oh, water and sewer, thank you.
enterprise.
72 is sewer. It's not water and sewer, it's sewer and water.
order of operations.
Again, this is part of the union negotiations for salaries for both sewer and water when we get there, but everything else is fairly level budget.
Skilled labor went up quite a bit, or is that just the percentage? Is that just the normal percentage?
No, it's very, an anomaly. That skilled labor is like been getting 5% every year.
Let's let him answer.
Chuck, can you remind us
I
again?
don't think it's, I don't know.
No. Well, you hire new people and then they go up the steps, and
Yeah,
that
so
stuff
this
is
is
just
just-
more than a COLA.
Is it one guy or is it a bunch of guys?
On the sewer side is two, so there's,
So it could be,
4.7%.
yeah, there's the chief operator, the assistant chief, and then two skilled laborers, so it's staff for four staff.
Chuck, can you remind us again? I know there's a whole bunch of trained skill levels and we have Woodward and Curran, right?
That's water.
Nope, that's on the water.
That's water,
So
okay,
These are union town employees.
okay. Thanks.
All four.
Why is, the grade, the senior account clerk grade?
Yeah, when I was breaking out these salaries, I realized that one of my formulas was bringing in FY 26's salary number, not FY 27, so I updated it for this.
It's a manual.
Right, so that might be why skilled labor looks more, is because there's actually two of them. So if each of them gets a 2.5%, like the bottom line is bigger, but it's not one person getting a $6,000 raise.
No, but it is 4.7%, not 2.5%.
Right? And so that would be associated with the steps.
And with the electricity adjustment again, the reserve?
Yeah, we had originally taken that down, but then we realized, like, sewer has its own funding source. So if we were to pay sewer electricity out of the general fund, so then we ended up putting it back.
Oh,
That's why it's green.
Now,
significant.
this is significantly higher than the actual for 2025.
mhm.
That was a Happy Hollow, I believe, right?
Yes.
So it's running closer to the 90,000 in 2026.
Mhm.
Electricity.
Okay.
What's going on?
So that's the big push that we're, the most electric intensive processes we have at the plant. We're trying to make those right size, first of all, so they're not, over pumping. And then also trying to make them more efficient.
Any questions on the enterprise sewer budget?
Yeah,
Go ahead, Jim.
well, a broader brush question, our receivables were like quite a bit higher than the expenses, and what is being done with that money?
So that was a couple of years ago, we talked about the rate structure of the sewer. So
Yeah.
we're in this coming fiscal year, we will raise the rate again. That'll be year 3 of a 3-year plan. And that is to offset the bond when it comes due, because this has to be paid for 75% by the enterprise fund, which has to be on the rate. So we are, rather than do it all 25% in one swoop, we've done 7.5% over what will be a 3-year period.
So if we're saving it every year, we won't need a bond, we'll have the money.
It will pay the bond.
It's already
We'll
out.
pay the debt service, but not the total amount of the project.
Well, if we're netting 500,000 a year, and it's a $4 million job, that's not many years.
I don't think we're netting 500,000 a year.
Well, I mean, I just-
500,000 in the enterprise.
I only had 2 years to go on, but 1 year was 1.3 million and 1 year was 500,000.
And also, as part of our ongoing capital,
Yeah.
our like ongoing annual maintenance, we usually take from whatever we've, received.
Right, but that would
Right.
be in the expenses, right?
But it's separate from the operating.
Well, the capital budget, they sometimes allocate a portion out of the enterprise funds.
Yeah.
That has been past practice, and that's what we're asking for again this year as well.
It is,
And that'll be under the capital part.
correct.
Chuck, just a more general question. Is the amount of material that's moving through this plant pretty consistent year to year? Are you seeing it go up or down, or not like
No,
water?
we've been pretty stable, since we've done most of the lining work. We are starting to see an uptick a little bit in what we anticipate is II in the system, but, it's been actually pretty stable in between 400,000 and 500,000 gallons a day, on a 12-month average basis. Obviously, we do get storms, we see the uptick on a daily basis, but over a 12-month rolling average, we're pretty consistent.
Question, where do we stand versus capacity now? How's that trend been going and?
So our permit is for 670,000 gallons a day. The number I just gave away is about, we're between 400 and 500. I think honestly, right now, I think we probably have 450.
Yeah.
So we're about 220,000 gallons a day below our permit.
Third.
What's our permit amount?
670,000 gallons a day.
What's our plant capacity though? Is it more than?
So right now, it's extremely oversized. I
Yeah.
would say like the average day capacity is like
1.2.
2.
Yeah.
So it's like almost double what we
1.2 million.
Peak,
Yeah, peak.
5.2, I think.
Right. And so that's why we say, like, a lot of the project that we're doing is, right now we have 3 outrageously sized influent and effluent pumps that are sized to meet that peak of 5.3 MGD. Even at 1, which is a third of that 5.3, that's more than what we see on a regular day. And so like, this is 24/7 operation. So like, we can't make it work. So it's basically what happens is the pump is operating way out on its curve, which makes the pump wear and tear, cavitation, like there's just a whole downstream effect of that. So this project is right sizing all of that stuff.
So is that a reflection of the original basis of design just being flawed?
Yeah, so 25, 6, 7 years ago, when they built the plant, there was no, II wasn't a thing that you worried about. You just sized the pumps for it. Now we went the other way. We have to take all that II out of the system. And so now all of our pumps that were sized for it are oversized.
Got it.
It's not isolated to us, like even Deer Island
Yeah.
is oversized
Yeah.
for what they're seeing now in flows. So.
That's a good. It's just concerning that if the plant's only at half capacity, why it has so many odor problems still.
That's
actually part of the problem.
Yeah.
Because everything's oversized for
Yeah.
we're putting in too much air into the aeration
Okay.
basins.
Okay. That's part of the
that's it.
Yeah.
Okay. Good to know.
And do you know where the I&I problems are generally are? I mean, I know, Basically
Right
just-
now, Tappan Street.
okay, yeah.
But yeah, we do know there's few.
'Cause I know you've done a lot of work on,
We should do the pipes on tap.
I agree. Maybe Bennett after.
Any more discussion on the enterprise sewer budget?
Nope.
Do I have a motion to approve the enterprise sewer budget in the amount of 1,429,588?
Move.
Lindy moves, do I have a second?
Second.
Laura seconds. Any more discussion?
I'm confused. I'm looking at the enterprise sewer and I'm
Exactly.
seeing 705,566.
It did go on a second page.
Yeah, it's on a second.
I went down to the second
Yeah.
page, sorry.
Oh, that's.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Which are the sewer indirect?
The indirects are almost
Yes.
50% of the actual.
Right.
It's first catch.
And capital listed on the second page. That's not in the capital budget. What is that capital line? On the second page, top.
Are you talking about the 200,000?
Yes.
Yes, so that's I put that in there just to show the total amount of increased revenue. So that I'm taking 200,000 of revenue that I expect to come in next year. And then when you go to the capital, you see a column for the 200,000 and then also a column for 400,000 of retained earnings of money that we received previously. So I include this 200 there just so you can see what we expect for an increase in the sewer total.
So are we voting for that twice? Once in the
Kind of.
operating budget and once in the capital?
Kind of.
So can we take it out of this budget? Is
You good?
that what we wanna do?
I'd recommend that. I'd take it out.
Yeah. Still a little confused why it's here, but that's right, but.
Because you're using it from current year's revenue rather than from.
Yeah, I got it, the
reserves.
enterprise fund.
Okay, so, I will, do I have an amended motion
Yes,
to approve the sewer budget in the amount of 1,000,000?
229,588.
Yes,
So, well,
Andy moves, do I have a second?
Second.
40 seconds, any more discussion? Go, Gar,
Yes.
Dean,
Yes.
Andy,
yes,
Lori,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Sarah votes yes. Water,
So here you see the skilled labor, we only have one in the water department, but again, subject to the same union negotiations for all three of the staff. This one, you'll see on the next page, I believe, the Woodard current contract. Should be more here. Yes, about, so that's where that's kept for the treatment plant operators. The distribution system guys are on the tap staff.
when is the Woodward and Kern contract up?
So the way we did that one was it's a 3-year contract with the ability to extend it to separate 3-year extensions. So it's actually a 9-year contract. So I think we're in year 5.
At one point, we talked about contemplating bringing it in-house and we decided not to do that because of the level of skills needed, is that correct?
Right. So it'll just be, it'll be very hard to us to get a chief operator and an assistant and be able to maintain operations and maintain continuity. It's definitely still on my thought process, but it's definitely very premature to.
It's not really full-time work, though. They come in like 3 times a week, maybe, or.
No, they staff it 7 days a week. They do have, because it is a pretty high-tech plant, they have the ability to monitor offsite.
Right.
And so that's actually something that needs to be approved by DEP and, all those types of things. It is worth noting that, when we do complete the treatment plant upgrades at Lincoln Street for the PFAS removal, DEP may, we don't know yet, require us to add a third person to the operations of the treatment system. So at that point, we would either need to pay Woodard Kern to provide that third person, or potentially we could try and find that person and have them be a town employee. So that would be my hope, and I think that might be the beginning of a transition over several year period.
is that a different certification for the third?
So they would still be the primary and the secondary, but we would need another staff person. So similar to what you see on the distribution side, we have the primary distribution operator, the secondary, and then we have a skilled laborer. So it's essentially the same thing. The skilled laborer on the water side has the license, but they don't have that role. That's the.
Will that plant have a storage for the hazmat of the activated carbon with the PFAS? Like in the floodplain?
So when we decide to reactivate the carbon or take it offsite, it'll just be trucked offsite.
Yeah.
It won't be kept on site.
Okay, so when you change it out, it'll just go right out.
That's
So
something,
that's gonna be an expense down the road that we don't have.
that's something we'll contract out and we'll handle soup to nuts. So
Yeah.
they'll bring it in, take it out, handle the disposal or recharge of it.
So could you talk to me a little bit about the expense changes? just some of the background here, the vehicle repairs and some different experience you're having?
Not 100% sure
Coming
what
underwater,
the difference is.
8,000.
So it's just zero.
Are you saying from actual to?
well, I'm
budgeted
saying
in
the
previous
vehicle
years?
expenses. I mean,
So it's just no percent change.
oh, I'm sorry.
I'm not sure why.
It was green. Those are green because,
That was one of the first revisions.
uh,
Tony had changed
I was
like.
looking at the green as though that was a change. It's not.
215.
In
Yeah. Okay.
case you're back.
Yeah. Contract services that,
That's the water and current.
got it.
So, like everything, the cost of, employees, cost of labor has increased, and so they're passing that on to us. So that's why it's been one.
Is it
It
part
is
of,
negotiated based on the CPI.
is it part of the contract based on CPI?
I'm curious if you are, there's a thing on the public radio, I think today or yesterday, about people not going into the water field. Are you feeling that, or do you anticipate that being an issue going forward in the?
It's an issue right now. We have a secondary operator by Water and Current who actually moved on. We went to Cambridge, so he's working at Cambridge now.
Mhm.
So Water and Current is at a open rec out to hire that position for Manchester. They haven't been able to find somebody. So they've had to backfill that from other plants that they operate. So we have had the same coverage, but we do not have the dedicated person.
Interesting.
What's causing that?
People aren't going into the field,
But
they're going into other stuff,
other stuff.
like
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
AI. Instead of water and
Most of the
sewer.
jobs will be eliminated.
Well, it's always this, what
And
are we gonna be looking at in 5 years? And get in front of stuff like that, so.
So it is part of the current union negotiation, and it's something we already have in the existing one is, having some of our guys on staff right now cross-train and get those licenses and get an extra, stipend or pay in their base pay. And then, to me, that's the bridge, but we haven't been able to really realize that yet.
is the bridge.
Any more questions on the enterprise water budget, both pages?
And Andrea, the change in, say, something like group health insurance, that's a good, even though we don't know what those numbers are going to be. That shouldn't hold this budget.
I would,
It's a good enough,
yes.
Will you
So-
come back and adjust that number? Or you don't plan to adjust it?
Right now, I don't believe we'll need to change that
Okay.
number. If we do, I will.
That reflects the
believe it.
15%
Yes.
we're at now.
Will the surplus between the expenses and billables go towards paying down the water meter bond?
Right,
Yes.
I think the excess right now is from the capital fee.
So I had my water meter replaced today,
You did. I
took
know.
him 10 minutes.
You're amazing.
You're efficient, $5,000.
They fly.
Mine took
They didn't bill you anything, they're billing me.
1 minute.
20, but there
20
were
minutes.
two of them, the one was this far
Oh,
from
so I only
the
have-
on the stair.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if I mentioned this before, but we're over 1,000 installs right now, so we're making pretty good progress.
Guys, you're good.
No, they are very pleasant,
It's
Yeah.
it's very
Yeah.
positive.
yeah.
Any changes in consumption? Or
Not that we can tell yet.
Finding a lot of leaks though.
We are finding. a lot.
People swear up and down, there's no leak.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. Like, it's not the
Keep
meter
looking.
says, and lo and behold, they'll go check a toilet that they don't use or a hose bin
Outside
or,
tickets,
Find them, and yep,
Great.
So are you contacting people or are they finding it in the app?
Sue is, yeah, so Sue is, yes.
It's actually been both ways. We have people come in that have signed up and have the app and say, it says I have a leak and I know I don't have a leak, and then we'll go on and look and, oh, you have a leak. And then they find it. And then, or the other way, some people, they're not responding, or, they haven't called us yet. I'm like, just so you know, you have a leak, you might want to check some toilets. We'll do it both ways, but, so I found some.
Okay.
Town hall and common.
Are we gonna approve it?
Oh, thank you.
I'll make a motion to approve the water department budget in the amount of $2,824,947.
$1,395,000. Sorry, the 2,000,008 is both sewer and water.
Oh,
Okay.
Right, let's not do
Let's
that.
say it got a little more expensive very quickly.
Let me start over. I'll make a motion to approve the water budget in the amount of $1,149,838. Still not bad.
No,
It's the-
no.
139.
It's the line above the 2.8.
9.
All right, somebody else make a motion.
I move we do $1,395,359.
Right, second,
Second,
Maureen seconds, any more discussion? Vote, Gar,
Yes.
Dean,
Yes.
Yes.
Maureen,
yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Sarah votes yes. Okay, thank you, guys, for keeping me on. Oh. Town hall and common. Oh, I see, I'm in the section that you handed out, that's why this is out of order. Town hall and common. It's been page 38 if you're in the big book.
Is that part of DPW? I'm wondering if,
No, you're
No.
correct,
so don't we want to talk about maybe DPW capital?
thank you, Maureen.
Sorry.
DPW capital. Long list. Now, one thing I wanted to get input from the finance committee on is with respect to the rotunda. I was at a CPC meeting. And they haven't voted, but they may have 250,000 cash this year to add to the rotunda project.
It might be 350.
I haven't gotten there yet. At a prior FinCom meeting, there were concerns raised regarding the 200,000 for the Affordable Housing Trust in the CPC budget. The Finance Committee suggested to Jack he should reduce it to the 60,000 minimum. The question I have is if the CPC and the Affordable Housing Trust were amenable to reducing the 200,000 to 100,000 and having that extra 100,000 go to the rotunda for 350 for the rotunda, is it likely the Finance Committee would support that 100,000 to the Affordable Housing Trust
Instead of the 60.
instead of
Yes.
60?
Yeah.
I mean, is that something people, I mean, we have not been contrary, we have, for the past number of years, we've supported what the CPC has brought forward.
Right.
And we've run into this stumbling block over the Affordable Housing Trust, which I understand. And so one of the suggestions was that maybe they could do the 100,000 and put the extra 100 for towards the rotunda, and so I thought I might just get a sense of the board to see.
Sounds reasonable to me.
Okay,
Sounds
okay.
fine. Could you just remind me where we are then on the rotunda? Having all this discussion, I'm afraid I'm a little bit lost. So we have a previous 1.3.
Right.
Now we have potentially 1.4.
3, no, we would have another 350, 1.6.
Oh, 350, that's right. Yes, yes.
Which would reduce the amount of the bond.
To
And
To 2 million.
2 million. Thank you. That's what I need.
when I look at what you gave us, Andrea, on the debt payment stuff,
Hmm.
it seemed like the full bond was not gonna kick in to the rotunda until fiscal year 28. The price goes up.
Looks like-
I think one of the questions we have, particularly on the rotunda, is the timeline for the construction.
Yeah.
Because if the construction goes in beyond June 30th of 2027, and we don't bond it till the next fiscal year, that might give us the ability to get another cash donation
Mhm.
from CPC if it's before we actually issue the bond, right, Andrea?
Right.
And so wondering what the timeline is on that construction.
Yeah, I mean, ideally, we would be starting construction this fall, go through the winter, and be completed by Memorial Day of next year.
Yep.
I think if it's not completed, then you have access issues out to all those docks. So if that's something that is okay, then we can certainly, it could slide, I guess, depending on how, final payment could be after into the next fiscal year.
You could write in a condition to prioritize the access to the docks by a certain date and not the whole project. Yeah. I don't know how much that would add, but
Yeah,
From a contractor's perspective, time is money. So they're
Right.
not gonna wanna stick around
right,
Okay,
May, June, and July
right, just
just to bill us in July. I mean, we can certainly ask it something like that, but I don't think we could kind of dictate.
yeah,
so we just have to kind of see how it plays out.
yeah. I mean, the contract end date currently in the specifications is Memorial Day of next year.
Okay. 27.
Yeah.
I can't think.
Is the permitting all
Yeah.
complete for this?
Yeah. Yep, that is actually.
Oh, my God.
Fully done. Yeah.
Are we applying for any additional grants for the rotunda? Is there any
I don't
out
think-
there or not?
I don't think so.
Okay, okay.
Based on that timeline
Asked and answered.
Yep.
and the risk of going through another winter season.
Yep.
I don't think we have that.
Okay.
so
May
this
may I
bond,
ask a question about the capital funding? Is that appropriate?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yes,
Andrea, this is how to read the grant. So I'm looking at FY 26 and I'm looking at funding sources, and I'm just not sure I understand the within 2.5 and the outside 2.5. Can what translate me?
Sure, so I was just kind of putting down what funding sources, and I haven't completely filled this out yet.
Yep.
But for any borrowings that we decide to, that can fit within our 2.5%, that would be that first line.
I see.
Most of
I
the
see. Fitting
borrowings
it
are
within, okay.
outside.
But the chances of that are slim,
That's why it's blank.
slim and very slim.
so I
Right.
think that, am I correct that if we go out with these projects, we would do an override for the appropriation? But it's possible that when we come to the final issuance of the bonds, we might have more money that will reduce the amount of bond we actually have to issue.
Yeah.
We need the appropriation
Right.
for them to go out to bid,
Oh,
but then the actual amount we bond, we don't even know the exact cost of the projects.
yes, that's right.
Um,
Okay, that's the,
Yeah.
And, with the culvert is we may, if we get MVP or a brick gets extended, we may never even touch that authority, that appropriation, right? So, but we're factoring, Andrea's factoring it in as if we did, just so you
Yeah.
can see the total tax bill impact.
so the bond, I mean, we had 1.3 million funded last year and it was just the million that fell through. But now the new bond is gonna be to replace that million plus another,
It
the
didn't fall.
inflation?
No, it didn't fall through. We still have 1.3, 800 from,
But the CZM, it was supposed to be 2.3, but we lost 1 million.
No, the original project was 3.6.
Oh, is that what it was? Okay.
3.6 and the 1.3 came off of that.
Okay, that was the CZM 1.3 that we lost, the grant.
I'm not following.
There's a
Well-
CZ, we applied for a CZM grant
Right.
and it fell through. Well, we had two.
And that's
two
why the
grants,
project-
right?
We didn't get that.
We didn't get it. I hope fell through,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, I hope
Um, But like last year, we also had another grant that we applied for that, we knew we didn't get, but we were still waiting for this. Sees,
That was the
CZM
one,
grant,
C4.
right.
Yeah.
That's the one that we went before town
We went
meeting
over
for
to-
last year.
Right,
And when we went before town meeting, and I forgot to bring it with me, I made it very clear, when we asked for that money for the rotunda, that we had lost one grant.
right.
We had another grant we were hoping for, but with the status of grants, we were not assured that we actually would receive it.
Right.
And that's what's happened this year. We didn't receive it.
But we still have the 800,000 from the general that we.
Correct.
And 500,000 CPCs.
Right, that's allocated towards this. And so that's why the appropriation is reduced by those amounts. And I
Okay.
think it would be reduced again if we got,
This, this,
Well, are you gonna leave it at this because we don't know whether we'll get the CPC money?
I think this includes
This
the
includes-
CPC money at 350 for this year.
So the CPC really wanted to keep the 200,000, but they might reconsider it if it's to reduce the interest for the rotunda. But when we were looking at just last, they wanted to keep the 200,000. They didn't like our recommendation,
For what?
the housing to go to.
That is not what I heard on the CPC meeting.
That,
Yeah,
that-
oh.
what Dean's referring to is prior to last night's meeting.
Okay.
So that
Yeah.
changed last night.
Last
Yeah.
night's meeting, it was discussed.
Yeah, and they
And-
decided they
and-
would go. Right,
They didn't directly discuss it,
right,
but it was brought forward by a couple of people who are members of the Affordable Housing Trust,
yes.
who suggested maybe they could do it. The Affordable Housing Trust is meeting next Tuesday.
So, yeah,
So we'll bring it before the Affordable Housing Trust next Tuesday, and then it will be up for the CPC to decide
Mhm,
what they want to do.
mhm.
I amended our CPC application from borrowing to an appropriation of 350.
Good, okay.
And we'll talk about it Monday night with the select board, but
Yeah.
I've sent it over to Jack just to make sure he saw it.
I think we're gonna have the meeting the 19th, but it might be the 26th.
I think he said 26 today.
Oh, okay, it's still the 26th. then.
So we've got a lot of DPW account. Just saying. Is the fleet replacement required? What are we replacing?
So it's actually the director vehicle. Right now I share it with the wastewater guys, and
Yeah.
that's a point of contention.
Is there a schedule of vehicles? Last year, there were 23 that I thought on the schedule. Is that
Right there.
in here?
it's in
I
his
can
slide
forward-
deck.
I think that there is,
31.
It's-
Okay.
so it's not 31, so I tried to parse out, like, a lot of those are trailers and, like, things that are registered, like the
Yeah.
message boards, like, those are on that list, that's part of the 31.
Air compressor.
So those, I hope aren't held against me, but, so we have, 12 right now, called normal duty, like the F-350 to 550, pickup Explorer. So those are those. Then we have like the heavy duty stuff. That's for, moving material, moving snow, backhoe, front end loader, sidewalk tractors, all of those types of things. So that's how you get to 31. So we have, and I think I counted 18 trucks. 12 of those are the normal duty, 6 of them are the heavy duty.
And where is that schedule? I don't see.
It's not in our packet, it's on
Up on the
the
So it's up on the screen.
And I'm gonna read that?
We'll send it to you.
Would you send it
I'll
to
send
me?
Yes.
And so, and
Tell us.
to be honest with you, like, you know, a lot of our oldest pickups
No.
are, you know, right now, 2014. So that's, you know, getting up to 12, 13 years, which is 12 years is kind of a typical life cycle. So, you know, the coming years, the next 5 years, we're basically taking one of the old ones and replacing it in kind. So we're not looking to add to the fleet necessarily. Really this year, because the wastewater guys had a truck that we had to surplus, it wasn't serviceable.
So you're adding a truck this year.
That would be this year. So that would go from 12 to 13. But the wastewater guys right now have 0.
Chuck, we had fire in last week and they were talking about trying to get rid of the forest truck and pick up something you had. Is that consistent with your plan?
Yeah, so I talked to Jake about that. So I told him we'd figure it out, but we like sat down and,
Alright.
you know, he hasn't tried to get one of the nice trucks from me.
You just want a yellow truck.
He just wants to paint
He
it red.
provided a schedule which I thought was very useful of vehicles. That was the year of purchase.
Yeah.
And sort of where they were in their life cycle. Is that something that exists? That's it?
Right.
Okay. And 12 years is our normal cycle for most trucks? Yep, including the heavy duty big ones.
And just the way it's worked out, like those are kind of the newer in the fleet. So we've done kind of the big heavy lifting trucks over the past 5-6 years.
And front end loaders and
Front-end loader was actually this year. So that's been purchased. We're good for the next decade.
so there's
What was the little orange?
sidewalk plow?
The Kubota.
No, yeah. What was it?
That might have been hired equipment.
Might have been.
So we had a fleet out of hired equipment.
It had like a snow blower
Yeah, snow blower.
attachment.
That's all stuff.
It went up and down my street, but it didn't do anything. I was really disappointed.
It went fine.
So this is not, has nothing to do with DPW, but I actually asked the 2 select board members whether it is the town policy that our employees should each have a truck. This sounds like a joke, but it's really not. When the truck is not required to carry, you know, equipment in the back and things like that, they would normally be driving their, you know, Chevy or whatever, a car, and they would do mileage. And I used to work at a bank and I think I got 28 cents per mile when I was driving out to see a customer or something.
That must have been in there.
That was a long time
That
ago.
was a long time, long time ago. But
70 cents a gallon now, or 70 cents a mile.
72.5.
But is it the town policy more or less that, you know, everybody gets a truck or?
So I mean, I don't,
And I'm not, and believe me, Chuck, I'm not trying to criticize you in any way here.
well, I would just say like, you know, like even myself personally, like if I go out of town for a conference or something like that, I'll typically just take my own car anyway. And
Yeah,
I'll get the mileage.
sure.
But like in town for, you know, town operations, we have to have town trucks.
Okay.
Yeah, they have the lights, they have the, you know, for us anyway, the safety zones, it's all that kind of stuff.
I would say, simple answer, no, that we don't have a policy like that. Our fleet is usually sized to the operation and the needs.
Okay.
Sometimes you do have to, you know, in the DPW sense, DPW is different, that, you know, they have to build a fleet that is gonna provide for us when we need all those trucks on the road.
Yeah.
Right, so their use varies differently than, say, police or fire.
It's great big trucks. You plow it. Are those used for anything else or just snow? Oh, they are.
Yeah, so we
Hauling the snow.
I'll let you know for sure. You know, even in the summer, like we do beach cleaning every week, you know, they haul the seaweed, those stuff like that.
Or if you get a pipe break and you gotta haul
Well,
material.
that's when honestly they use the most, and that's when
Yeah.
the most needed, because we have to have access to those trucks to get the material to the sun.
Chuck, does that 12-year life cycle change with, whether or not you have a barn to put them under?
Yeah, so I'd say, you know, over the last 6 to 8 years, we've lost both of our cold storage, you know.
Yeah.
Barn areas for those trucks, and it's especially noticeable on the smaller equipment, believe it or not, like the sidewalk tractor. So we bought the brand new sidewalk tractor in 2018. I think it was my first town meeting. So that's 6-7 years old. Like we spend tens of thousands of dollars on that every year to keep it in service during winter operations because it sits out all summer and we can't use it. So like that's the MT is a little bit different because we have attachment that we can use that for brush clearing and stuff like that in the summer. So it gets used, but the other stuff just sits and rots. But we definitely are seeing more maintenance because of that.
Got it, thanks.
All right,
But yeah, we would expect more longevity with storing our vehicles inside.
By a factor of 25%.
think
I was
that's
trying to
what
get
I've
a
seen.
sense of what that,
Yeah, I think
what
that's
that
what the reports
impact
say.
is.
I mean, that seems about right, because if we're anticipating 12 years and we're on year 8 or 9 of a thing that we put tens of thousands of dollars in, but that's kind of on par.
I comment on the general level. I'm not comfortable at all with borrowing 29.5 million in a bond in 1 year. We have made great strides in our piping program. And we're ahead of most towns in replacing pipe. And I think that we should prioritize the PFAS and not do both this year. I think that the pipes can be deferred for other years. We learned our lesson last year when we had Pleasant and Mill going at the same time. We felt like it was too much at once. And so I think we're doing it again. And it's kind of a slap in the face to Tappan Street residents to replace the pipes, because the real issue is when they put that housing project in, that retention basin doesn't work. And every storm, the backyards flood, and all the salt from the MBTA station goes all over our yards. So if you're gonna do nothing about that and replace pipes, it makes us think that you're more worried about keeping Grenice busy than helping the residents. So,
And
yeah.
I respond to
No,
this is just
no,
absurd.
No, don't respond.
I'm a resident of that area, and
It's that you have the right.
the
to make-
flooding is atrocious. And why did you take out the floodgate and not put it back in?
I think I want us to discuss.
Okay, well, I'm
the
just,
particulars Of any project.
all right, I digress. The
Yeah.
thing is, do we have to do full-scale pipes and PFAS together? Wouldn't it be logical to like concentrate on one and like?
We
defer
saw
the
the map, Dean. I think we need to keep forging ahead on the pipe replacement.
We're ahead of most towns.
What's most towns? We're talking about.
I just don't agree with that.
Yeah,
Like that's
okay.
just not true.
Well,
Most towns,
that was my.
70% of most towns are over 100 years old.
Am I correct, Andrea, from what you sent us, which I don't have before me? That the full amount of this 29.5 million will not be borrowed in 1 year. Is that
Correct.
Correct.
That's correct.
So that, what again were your numbers regarding the impact on the tax rate, and what years was this 29.5 hitting?
I put in, so for like PFAS, for example.
Yeah.
I put in that it would be banned, like a portion of it just banned, right? So not the full.
Fiscal year 27,
Yep, and then rolled over again
28,
in 28,
okay,
and then fully borrowed in FY 29.
okay,
So then if there's any other like funds or, the project comes in under budget, that'll significantly change these numbers, but the full tax impact would be expected in FY 29.
and what about Tappan Street, what was the timeline for that?
Tappan, I had a ban in FY 27 and then fully bonded in 28.
Could you help us with the amount of the ban in those cases?
So I have about 4 million for the first year.
But what's the payment
The payment would be 150,000 estimate.
for 27,
Say that again, for,
fiscal year 27?
correct,
Okay, 150,000, and fiscal year 28,
would be 328,000 for like 9,000, 9 to 10,000. 10 million. If only if it was $10,000.
So it's not hitting us all in one tax year.
Correct.
And it looked to me like that schedule you gave us didn't have significant adverse impact on the tax rate, even though it's a exclusion rate.
I mean, it is, it kind of like ramps up for like 3 years and then after that it levels out.
I mean, if you wanna do pipes, I was thinking Bennett made more sense, cause isn't there low pressure?
We're not litigating what their approach is. We're just talking about the budget.
What can we cut out?
There's no pressure.
Is it all or
problem.
nothing?
There's no pressure problem on Bennett. I can tell you, I have.
No, West Manchester, is Brookwood and Landmark, I mean, those
They're
things are,
not Bridge, they're not Bennett Street.
but it's. The line goes that way, right?
No, it goes through Bridge, doesn't it? Bennett's a little short
I
street.
thought,
Bennett has water and so does Bridge.
but I thought the Bennett Loop helps supply all of East Manchester, no?
Well, it
West
is
Manchester.
redundant, but actually the work we did on Walker Road is more important to all of them.
Okay, so there's no operational benefit for Bennett either, okay. It's just maintenance to replace.
So, I mean, let me just say a couple things. One is, I have no allegiance to any contractor or anything else. I'm putting these projects forward because they need to get done. On the position of Tappan Street is, it needs water, sewer, and drain. So not just talking about the drain, not just talking about anything. I have nothing to do with the MBTA or anything else, so I don't know what that's all about.
It's flood.
Second, I don't care. Second of all, I've never touched the flood anything on that area.
It was before you got here.
So yes, it's all something else.
It's an
We
illegal
went
connection.
to line the sewer there ahead of replacing the water, when we thought it was just a water main project. That could not be done.
Yeah.
We need to make strides on the sewer system. We also know that we have a backlog of $40 million on the water system.
Yeah.
So we have to do both at the same time. It makes no sense to do one or the other. It just so happens on Tappan Street, we also have major drainage issues that I'm also trying to address. And so that's how you go from a $300,000 sewer main job to a $4 million all-in water, sewer, drain, and roadway reconstruction.
But that
That is
drainage,
absolutely necessary, 100%, every single one. And now's the time, because we tried doing it last year and we didn't. We put it off last year. I also tried to do it in COVID, but we took away the capital loan. So that's why this project has become a 6-year project. And so, yeah, I could put any number of streets ahead of it on the list, but that doesn't solve the problem that is here and now on Tappan Street. And we've already done the design. So this is just construction dollars.
And I think that what we have to remember is there are a lot of issues in town with flooding in various areas. The DPW's responsibility is water, sewer, and road drainage.
yes.
It's not fixing flooding problems in the town from other sources.
Well, this is a separate thing of a specific project that has caused a lot of harm to our neighborhood. It's a separate issue. I'll address it separately.
Thank you.
And it is so, like, the Tappan is like a phase one of the drainage issues in that area.
But your
Yeah.
drainage problem is just relocating a railroad ditch around private property. It doesn't make any sense.
But.
Okay. That's
What are
the
we
Tappan
talking
Street project.
But that's phase one of what we need to
We're
do.
not talking this anymore.
Can I just make a comment here? So this, just going up 20,000 feet. We are all volunteers. We are brought to this committee because we look at this town through the lens of finances.
Right.
We all have our personal opinions about land and trees and water and everything else.
Right.
But our job sitting here is finance.
Yes.
And I have to restrain myself sometimes from going off the reservation, but it is about finance, and we trust the experts and the people we've hired in all different departments. And I think Sarah's made this point multiple times. If we have issues, we should go to the meetings with selectmen and other folks where it's appropriate to deal with it there. But our role really is finance. And we
My
have to
role
stick
is
to that.
to try to get some of that $4 million amount down, but
Well, I think that when we look, I mean, 26.2 million is a big, big number, no question about it. But when we look at the spreadsheet that Andrea gave us on the impact to the tax rate, which is really what our obligation is it's not overwhelming. And certain portions of this 26.2 million may never be bonded if we obtain money from other sources.
Okay.
And I think that the problem is we need to appropriate it at town meeting so they can go out to bid.
Well, before we approve it, I really suggest we look at that 25-year bonding thing, because with Essex Elementary and the other things, we're gonna hit our capacity. And this is the one that they're,
Well,
need-
I mean, we're gonna discuss capital on March 5th and March 12th. So we have loads of opportunity
Okay.
to discuss that aspect, and we will. Any questions for Chuck and Nate on these DPW capital projects?
Yes, I have one.
Go ahead. Peter.
Totally unrelated to all this stuff. Remind me, Chuck or Nate, what do, the DPW facility? What stage are we at now in that? Is this,
Right. So back when we first started doing this budget process, there was a chance that, you know, if we had spent the money that was appropriated for this fiscal year to further the design
design?
development for the
Yeah.
DPW facility on School Street or wherever really, then we would have needed the additional money to finish that design. We are not there yet, and we won't be there by town meeting, so that's why it's shown as requested but not recommended, because we're not ready to request it and spend it.
Thank you. Yep. I don't have any other questions, I think.
Question, Chuck, on these capital items.
I just want to know, on this vote, are we voting?
We're not voting.
we're not.
Oh, no, voting. Thank you.
We're not gonna vote on capital until
March.
March
Thank-
5th or 12th.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Chairperson.
We're just trying to get input from the various departments
Okay.
now, and then we'll look at the entire capital budget and the impact on the debt. Okay. So I think we're done with DPW water sewer,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
Next item on the agenda is town hall common and facilities.
Remind us, Sarah, what page that is?
Town hall common 38. So these are expenses related to the ongoing operations of these facilities, is that correct?
This is for town hall.
For town hall.
Town hall, yeah, town.
Facilities you already voted on.
Right.
Thank you.
Why isn't this part of facilities?
I don't know.
We've slowly moved things over.
I know. I
No, can we
know.
move this
Might be-
This was
guys
Greg,
want
this was
another
Greg,
budget?
this was Greg's budget, so.
Let's go.
Can we move this over to facilities next year, Tony?
Happy to do.
Yeah.
So is this, are we voting to spend $65,000 to the electric bill for town hall?
Mhm.
All electric.
All electric, okay.
The new
And we-
HVAC
and we-
system that was
TV
supposed to save us
chargers,
money
fan
is not
chargers,
saving
yeah,
us money,
Chargers.
Right,
but it's a better
air
claim.
conditioning, yeah.
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 Incidentally, our
Flagpole.
oil and gas,
Stuff.
oil, gas and diesel have gone down. As you would expect.
Good.
I move we do $71,900 for town hall and common.
Second,
Any discussion?
Is the amount budgeted for supplies enough? I mean, it was 8,000 in 2025. We're going to 4,700 again? Or is that a one-time thing?
That was a one-time equipment.
We got the copiers.
Yes.
Okay.
But everything else is under the departments.
So I'm sorry, so Andrea, remind us again, if we budget 65,000 for electricity and then we come in lower, which we haven't done, basically down to free cash again,
Or do they get to spend it within the?
or it gets transferred in the last 2 weeks where.
Get space heater.
Yeah.
Right, thanks.
Under this.
So you made a motion, correct, Gar?
I did.
Do a
I
second.
seconded.
Andy seconds it. Oh, you've already done that?
I had done that,
Thank
yeah.
you. Take a vote. Maury.
Yes.
Peter.
Yes.
Gar.
Yes.
Dean.
Yes.
Andy.
Yes.
Sarah votes yes. That's it. We're done with you guys.
Thanks, guys.
Be back.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of arrows.
Yeah, that's next.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
Next item on the agenda is the operations and capital budget for land use. AKA land management, which is page 32.
Or solo, been here the whole time.
It's okay. It takes long, but we don't have a very large budget. This is the second year that we've had the combined land management budget, which includes, as you can see, planning, conservation, historic and zoning. Pretty much close to 1,100 budget this year.
What are the professional services? That's gone up a significant amount.
Yeah, so the professional services, the planning board had $20,000 when they had a separate budget, which was used for the MBTA. We also used it for this past year for, it's in our current budget for the downtown visioning and zoning that we worked on for, that we actually submitted today to the select board. It is been increased by 5,000 because Conservation Commission needs to have access to professional services to manage the beaver issue that they have. They have multiple what are called beaver deceivers throughout different wetland areas and ponds in town to maintain levels so that it kind of moderate, and hopefully prevent flooding, particularly of private properties. So that costs somewhere in $3,000 or $4,000 a year. Sometimes they need improvements, upgrades. So this year I know we need to upgrade some of the fencing. So just the standard maintenance is, like I said, around 3,000. So they might be closer to 5,000 this year. So that's why that's gone up. That was balanced by last year we had a higher number for I think it was capital equipment because we're going to be purchasing a plotter so that we can scan plans in and try and reduce the old art files, all the paper files that we have. So we'll be able to reduce the volumes of paper that is all over town hall, all around Seaside One. So that's where we're just moving those funds over. So
With the beaver dams,
mhm,
we're only doing things that are on town property,
that's correct.
not on any of the properties owned by various nonprofits.
That's correct. As
Okay.
far as I'm aware.
Okay.
What is the expense we put into Tobacco Woods? What do we do?
I can answer this one.
Yeah.
Well, we don't, Manchester has an agreement with the town of Hamilton that we share the cost of upkeep of the tobacco trails and woods area. And so they have a budget of 2,500
Yes.
and we're responsible for half of that. So at the end of the year, they'll say, okay, we spent $500 and then, here's your invoice for 250. So that's kind of how that works.
So it's upkeep of the trails,
It is, yeah.
and which we share with them.
Yes.
We don't seem to spend it.
Yes.
Yeah, they've done a lot. They've had a lot of volunteers the last couple of years.
Okay.
Because I call over every year and I'm like, do we owe you anything? And they're like, no, so, they had someone out there with their own chainsaw the other day, so. Very nice for volunteers.
So any more questions on land management?
No.
No?
Thank you.
Do I have,
Just a question to you.
yeah,
So on the ZBA filing fees, that would be revenue, not expense, right?
No, it's the cost to file the decisions with the registry of deeds. But the ZBA increased their fees to $1,000 to
Right,
make sure that it covers that cost, and actually ZBA its revenue exceeds with expenses, or at least it used to before it was
okay,
integrated into one budget, but
recording decision.
the ZBA asked for 500 and the select board said, let's increase it to 1,000. And there's not been one complaint.
So the other thing, the CPC got a request, I guess it was from the Historic District Commission for 20,000 for professional services for the School Street survey. But I'm wondering if, is that kind of under land management? Would that, or is there a separate historic district
Well, so there is a historic district
commission?
commission as well as a historic commission, and so, so the,
It's a no, it is
yeah,
part of it.
so the way the CPC runs is CPC can fund historic projects as well as open space, recreation, et cetera. So they felt it was, so the CPC, I believe, may have funded, oh no, they had a grant. It was something that they, on Mass Historic, but they wanted to go to this funding out of it because it's a one-time thing.
Yep.
And rather than put it into the operating.
Okay. But it's normally like kind of handled in this department.
Yes,
Well, we handle their administrative staff.
Okay.
That's correct.
do I have a motion to approve the land management budget in the amount of $277,680?
You do, you have such a motion.
I'll second,
Dean seconds, any discussion? Take a vote, Cross,
Yes.
Dean,
yes.
Andy,
Yes,
Maury,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
and Sarah votes yes. And there's no capital items.
No. Yes. And yes.
So we're done. We're doing injuries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
I move we adjourn.
a second.
I really would like to vote on some minutes.
Okay, let's get that done.
Madam Chair, also, just a quick recap on our schedule.
Yes,
So far, we've accomplished everything on the schedule except we skipped over Town Administrator Select Board.
Yep.
And we skipped over Veteran Services.
Yep.
Veteran Services is very simple. It would take maybe a minute if you wanted to just knock one of those two off the list.
I'm thinking that at our February 19th meeting next week,
Mhm.
that's gonna be a really light meeting.
Yeah, okay.
And I'm suggesting that we start going through all of the town budgets in that meeting.
Okay.
And just kind of start at the beginning of the book and go through all of the town budgets, and I think we can run through those
Okay.
pretty quickly, and then if we don't complete them on the 19th, I think on the 26th, when we meet with the school, that's not gonna be a heavy duty meeting, and that we'll be able to finish the town budgets by then if we haven't. Is that acceptable?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So we have minutes from last week and then.
And the week before. Good. So on the minutes from January 29th, Jean had sent us comments last week. And
They don't have to be verbatim.
agree with everything except for one clause that I'd like to be struck, and that is when we were talking about Harbor, the Morse Pier and the Reed Park and that stuff. And you added in a section, the board discussion involved whether these were necessary expenses in a tight budget year, as they would appear to mitigate only 5 days per year when the existing docks reach capacity. Any vote was deferred to include with other capital considerations. I would like to strike as they would appear to mitigate only 5 days per year when the existing docks reach capacity, because I don't
It's
believe that's
hearsay.
based on data.
Right. That's based on observation. Okay.
The other ones I was okay with. Did anybody else have an opinion?
Fine to me.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the January 29th
As adjusted,
as amended,
as amended,
with Dean's comments and my changes to Dean's comments? Motion to approve the January 29th, 2026 minutes.
So moved.
Second,
Second. Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Next set of minutes. From January 5th, February 5th. Do people have a chance to look at those? Okay, very recently.
Yep.
Were there any amendments?
Not as relevant, but a general comment. And again, this may be AI at work and it looks like the minutes are very, very specific to the town employee presenting, but they don't always capture some of our debates.
Okay,
And I can't point to anything specific, but I know this group spent a fair amount of time talking about possible solutions of things going forward and other stuff. And it just wasn't in here. And I wouldn't hold these minutes up.
look at the minutes, because I really haven't had a chance to look. Let me look at the minutes and
Yeah.
see if I come up with anything in that.
I
line.
just felt like when we looked at minutes a few years ago, it might say, you know, Mr. Alderman commented on such and such, and the group had a discussion about, and a task was put forward for a town administrator to consider this in the future. And there's very little of that.
Okay.
It's mostly reporting on what was being presented to us. So,
and those are the minutes of 2/5.
last
Yeah.
week.
Last week.
Let me look at them again.
They came very recently.
Yep.
Okay.
So our next meeting is on February 19th. That would be next Thursday. Where I've already posted the agenda. Because of the Monday holiday, decided to get my act together. So it's assessor, building department, benefits, pension, property insurance, and town budgets.
That's gripping.
Anything else you have to add, Tony? Andrea? Anybody else have anything that the chair you consider?
No. Nope.
I'll take a move to do it.
Don't move.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks, sir.
Just the- yeah. Sometime. This
But just last night or not, I just online, I didn't work Tuesday night, I was online, didn't see anything posted.
You know, I don't know.
Okay.
I didn't get an email.
Got it.